India today successfully launched a long-range missile that's able to hit parts of China and Europe with a nuclear warhead. It's named after the Hindu god of fire. It's a 50-ton, three-stage rocket that puts India in a small club of nations with the power to develop and build long-range ballistic missiles. But in contrast with North Korea's recent failed missile test, there is hardly any international blowback over India's new weapon. The chief Fox Sports correspondent Jonathan Hunt has the news. And Jonathan, Indian military officials seem, I don't know, pretty fired up about this development.
Yeah, they see it as a huge technical achievement and a big step on the path toward becoming a major world power. They're also quick to point out that this is not supposed to demonstrate any offensive power, but merely to act as a deterrent. And what it's about here is the range of this missile. They've had nukes for quite some time, but now they can aim those nuclear warheads, or will be able to in a couple of years, east towards China and west toward Iran, and that is the key for the Indians here.
But most interesting in all of this is nobody seems to care.
Yeah, very interesting. The U.S. officials say that this is very different because India is a stable democracy as opposed to North Korea, who attempted that failed launch last week, which they say is an unpredictable dictatorship. Now, although the State Department spokesman, Mark Toner, did seem to struggle a little today when asked to explain how this fit into the administration's general call for restraint among nuclear nations in their testing programs. Listen.
We believe, they have a solid non-proliferation record, and that they're playing a significant role internationally on the issue.
The bottom line, U.S. officials feel that India is a friend, and having one more friend with the ability to hit Iran is probably no bad thing, although they'd never say that in public.
No, but that's well put. Jonathan Hunt, thanks so much.
India's press is dubbing it the China killer. India successfully test-fired its first intercontinental ballistic missile Tuesday, officially called the Agni 5 rocket. Sky News reports the weapon has the ability to carry nuclear warheads and the range to hit major cities on Asia's east coast.
The rocket is believed to have a range of over 3,000 miles. That puts it potentially within reach of targets in China like Shanghai.
The missile's capabilities put India in an elite class of nations. Only the United States, Russia, China, Britain, and France hold similar weapons, making India the first world power. The BBC says the rocket test is just as symbolic as it is practical for India.
That a lot of this is also about image making, about India demonstrating to the rest of the world, and especially to its regional rival China, that it has this kind of capacity.
In a news conference, China's foreign ministry spokesman said the nation was not concerned about India's missile, calling the countries, quote, not competitors but partners. But the China Global Times, a publication of the Communist Party, seemed none too happy. The West chooses to overlook India's disregard of nuclear and missile control treaties. The West remains silent on the fact that India's military spending increased by 17% in 2012. India should not overestimate its own strength. An opinion writer for Thailand's The Nation says while China and India might be traditional rivals, the conflicts most likely to occur in Asia would put the two powers on the same team. In the event of a conflict in the Middle East between Iran and Israel, China is certain to back Iran. India's position on the Israel-Iran conflict is ambiguous, but it is more likely that it would want to join the Sino-Russian alliance to support Iran. If this were the case, India's missiles would not be aimed at targets in China. On Al Jazeera, an analyst says attention surrounding the missile test is drawn to China's response because of its strong ties with Pakistan, India's major rival. Still, he says India's move should not be seen in the same aggressive light as North Korea's recent test.
That you cannot quite compare North Korea and India, because North Korea has a profile in the region which is deemed to be revisionist, and technically North Korea is still at war.
India ranks as the world's top weapons importer, but MSNBC reports NATO gave its okay on India's test launch, and the U.S. State Department called the nation's non-proliferation record, quote, solid. For Newsy, I'm Zach Toombs. Multiple sources, the real story.